Number 10, discussion on our sidewalk shoveling policy. Captain TenKate.
Hello. So you requested I came back. I wanted to email this to you so you had enough time to look at it. The final draft that I re-emailed you today is relatively unchanged. A couple things changed in the heading and some grammatical type corrections, but other than that, it's fundamentally the same. I can review it if you'd like, or I could just answer any questions that you have.
Something that came up to me over the past weekend is that 24 hours might not be enough time for people to react to a heavy storm regarding shoveling their sidewalks. Is there a reason why we didn't go to 48 hours instead of 24?
I'm sorry?
48 hours instead of 24?
So our current law, the law that we've had right along, is that it becomes a violation at 6 p.m. the day following the storm. So if it snows on Monday, it's a violation at 6 p.m. on Tuesday.
Right.
The vast majority of the comments that I've gotten are that people want it enforced more quickly, not less quickly. Actually, you are the first person to have brought that up, that we should give the people more time. That's the first time I've heard that. I can respect that, but we're trying to be proactive and get ahead of it as best we can to try to get it done more quickly.
If you give them 48 hours and then spread it out to 72, but it's 24 hours is certainly hard.
Can you also clarify, it's 24 hours after the snow ends though, right?
So during a long-term snow event, they're required to clear their sidewalk once per 24 hours.
Right, okay.
So so if it snows on Monday, they have to clear it by 6 p.m. Tuesday, which actually we're not out enforcing until Wednesday. But if it's snowing continuously, it's every 24 hours during a long-term event.
Okay, thank you.
Captain, you guys have always been, I think, pretty practical about this anyhow. So what you try to do now is really go after some people that habitually just don't bother clearing the sidewalks. And I think it's a bit of a misnomer, misconception, I should say, in this community. I see a lot of elderly people out there clearing their sidewalks out. So there's always, well, you're going to have this poor old lady out there, old man, but they're usually out there clearing the sidewalks. They're trying to be good community members. It's other individuals, and I do a lot of walking, even in the wintertime. I just went for a walk this evening, and there's a couple of properties, they never shovel their sidewalks, and it's not elderly people. So I appreciate what you're trying to do here.
And you kind of mentioned that last time, and I went back through our complaints in the last year. Owner-occupied single-family dwellings, there's one in the city that we had more than one contact with over sidewalk shoveling in the last year. And it's somebody who only shovels the sidewalk after we've had contact. And that's just not an effective way to do it. There has to be an enforcement part in that first contact, because a lot of the landlords say, well, I know when I get the letter from them, I still have 24 hours. And it's just not effective. And we need a way that, at 6 p.m. you didn't do it, we can come in the next day and there's going to be a penalty there. And that initial penalty is $25 the first 2 attempts. We're not foreclosing on their house because they didn't shovel the sidewalk. Right. It's $25.
It seems reasonable. Is this already going to effect, or are you going to go into effect?
If it's okay with you guys, it'll go into effect tomorrow morning.
Is it it's $25, you get that ticket, and then if the city ends up having to contract with our guy to shovel their sidewalk, then they pay for that as well.
Right.
Right.
So that initial contact will be the ticket, and
right.
Part of the hope there is in that initial thing that we can get compliance. Obviously, always the goal of code enforcement is to gain compliance. But if they don't do it in another 24 hours, we will shovel the sidewalk at their expense, and they'll get a bill for the $25 penalty, the cost of shoveling, and a $25 administrative fee.
And the goal is to make the sidewalks passable for pedestrians within the city of Cortland, and they shouldn't have to wait 48, 72 hours to be able to walk down the block. Okay, thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's happy to do it. And we're trying to be as proactive as we can, and it's difficult to deal with sidewalks in that manner, but it's what we have right now.
Well, and as you said, Captain, in most cases, it is not owner-occupied properties. And even residents who go away for a while in the dead of winter almost always makes arrangements. I'm leaving in a few days and I will be gone for a while. I've made arrangements. It happens to be my wife, but I've made arrangements. But again, too, that's the people I talk to in my ward are always telling me, you know, I'm gone for a certain amount of time, I'm willing to pay somebody to come and do it, and yet I walk down the sidewalk and I see certain properties never shoveled. Or 3 days to take to shovel, or 4 days.
And those few instances that you talk about where if somebody were to get one of these citations and they called up our office and say, you know, I was in the hospital, or I had, you know, a family member in the hospital and I wasn't able to do it this time, can you forgive it? Yes, we have a mechanism to do that. We're not here to, but, you know, when it's the 6th time this has happened, well, we're probably not going to be quite as understanding then, but.
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to mention, that I'm sure that there's mechanisms in place that if it's something that is unforeseen, again, you forgive those.
Captain, you have numerous instances in here where people can appeal this. There's several different avenues. They can come to us, I think, if I read that correctly, ultimately. So I think this is, people, if you read this over, I think it's very fair. I appreciate all the work you guys have done into it. And if we have to vote on it, I don't know, are we voting? We just give it a thumbs up to go ahead with it.
Discussion at this point, but it's up to council to decide when
Change
you
the-
would like to move forward to it.
We can change the resolution, we can change it into a resolution.
I'd like to let them start tomorrow with this thing. I think it's a great program. You've thought it out. You give people opportunities to appeal. You give them warnings. You know, the beginning is not that onerous. I think I'd like to go on and try and let you guys go ahead.
I agree.
Well, we need council approval to add this as a resolution to be voted on.
Because if we act on it tonight, how soon will your people be out enforcing that?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So, honestly, the question firefighter Everett asked me today about mailing out notices of violation. And I said, really, at this point, I'm going to council tonight. It's going to be quicker just to wait another day, and then we can move forward with the new policy rather than mailing out letters that they're not going to get till Thursday. There's no point in that. We're going to be ahead of
It's
that.
not a new public law, it's a change.
And
I just didn't.
As a clarification, Rick, this does not need a public hearing because it's already as a law, it's a change.
Internal protocol. Okay, just making sure.
there was a previous policy that I know never came to the council, and just an internal office policy of how they handled it. If you want to vote on it, that's fine, but it's, I
What
don't.
we gotta do to move it on?
So Bruce, a resolution to adjust the city's enforcement of snow removal from sidewalks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Motion on the floor then for Bruce Tyler,
I'll second it.
Tom Michaels. Discussion.
I'm sure that you should be able to pick up some that didn't do anything this last storm.
That's my plan. Maybe they all shoveled them tonight, because they're watching
Probably
this.
got
and
the
not-
tickets all
They're
filled out.
probably out there now shoveling.
Just out of curiosity, let's, you know, just so I have an idea of how the working of it goes. Storm happens on Monday, midday Monday, 15 inches. Come Wednesday morning,
All right, that's when our guys.
Tom and Roy head out, you head out, and you discover 15 properties that have not shoveled at all. how does that 15 work? Is it the first one that's reported goes to the person that the city's hired to do it, or how does that work?
Right now, so the current policy that we've been working under for years is that a mailing goes out. We get it goes out as a certified mailing. When we get that back, we go out and we check again after we know it's been delivered at least 24 hours and make sure that those sidewalks are shoveled. If they're still not shoveled, then we refer them back. We don't specify to the contractor which one he does first. We'll usually
Okay, so again,
give
the
them
main thing
3 or
is in
4.
reality, come Wednesday morning, after that's done on Monday, somebody's not gonna be having a sidewalk shoveled immediately, because the mailing hasn't even gone out yet.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
it's-
again, too, it's more
and
than
I-
enough time to.
I would argue, and a big reason I wanted to change this is we shouldn't have to notify property owners that it snowed. It's not my job to manage your property. If you're a landlord that owns property in the city, you need to know when it snowed and take care of it. Now, one of the things that was posed to me is, if DPW goes and they push back snowbanks around a corner, that's different, and we have to be understanding of that. But as far as the properties we're talking about, by and large, are people that make no effort, none.
Let's vote.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very good.